Eric Muathe here, and I do apologize for the delayed response as concerns taking a look at this chart which you had drawn. So we are taking a look at your UUP, and I believe this is monthly chart, all data. And here what we see here is clearly there is negative divergence. As you can see recently, let's draw here, change colors a little here. Okay, so there was a slight improvement in price there on the monthly, but the RSI here did not show an improvement, and that's a problem for the stock, or at least for the ETF, the dollar ETF UUP, and probably could be setting up for a pullback. We also look at the line you drew here, which is trying to figure out where any sell-off could begin, and we clearly can see that it broke through that during this period here, sometime in 09, off those highs, and of course it went on a drop over the next couple of years. So it went, so from here we saw lower prices after this break, and so we can draw a line from there, which is a line that you've drawn, something like that. And it's only until we cleared that line here, we went back above that yellow line, that we started this move in the dollar recently in 2014, all the way to the highs of 15 somewhere here. So yes, right now if I was to take a look at your charts, the charts that you are drawing here by themselves, there's an argument here that with the dollar showing an improvement in prices, RSI not following through, and recently we've seen a pullback in the dollar, it might suggest that the dollar is giving a major sell signal on the monthly. Now that could be true, and it could be true at the end of the day in the coming months, that we'll look back and see that this was a sell signal. But I want to show you the charts that I'm looking at, and here I have the dollar proper, so the dollar chart itself going back to 1990, so about 26 years of monthly data. And the first thing I do notice here is at the highs in 2001, early 2002, we had this improvement in price on a monthly basis, but the RSI was making lower lows. That was good enough to begin this major slide in the dollar. So right now we are looking at the possibility, which is what your charts are showing, an improvement in price and a slight lower low here on the dollar. In the coming months, this could have been setting the stage for lower prices. Now the one thing I do need to qualify here is this negative divergence eventually becomes a problem only after we break a major trend line. And let me draw that. After we break this major trend line is when we begin. So there was a break here of that trend line in 02, which began this drop in the dollar. Right now we haven't seen a major trend line break, as you can see. So yet we haven't seen that major sell signal being confirmed, in my opinion. So that's one thing that is going for the dollar, that this trend line has yet to break. Okay, and we are coming close to that line there. So that's one, in my opinion, one reason why the dollar could not necessarily be breaking down here. We shall see in the coming weeks, in the coming months. I'll also show you another argument that I believe is probably a good argument for the dollar still being stable. And we go back to this break here in 01, 02, and draw a line from there, something like that. We can see that on the bearish phase of the dollar, it was resistance for the highs there, resistance here for the highs there, resistance again here for the highs there, resistance here, double top again for the highs there, and then at some point we finally managed to move above that range here, and this corresponds with this movement. We have yet to break below the green line, suggesting that as long as we are holding above the green line here, the dollar has yet to necessarily break down, and if it can bounce off this green line, it could easily go back to record fresh highs. And so there's another third line, and so let's change colors here, take a look at another different view, and it is this line that connects the previous highs here, touching all these highs here, and finally we moved above that, we broke out. So this breakout again corresponds with this strong move in the dollar. If we extend the same line, you can see that we are still holding above that line. So at some point, even if the dollar was to creep lower and hold and bounce on this line, that could still yet set the stage for a movement higher in the dollar. So personally, I think the dollar has yet to break down. In fact, I think the dollar is generally sideways, trading between, let's call it 90, 99 and 96 over the last year for the most part. Now there's also another way to take a look at that breakout. So the breakout here, you can draw a straight line like that, and if the market was to hold that line and bounce on that line, that would set the stage for another movement to the upside. So all these lines do point to the possibility that the dollar is not broken. So I'll draw the three lines again. So line number one can be drawn two different ways. And so the bullish lines go back to the break. So line number one, we are still above this line. Okay, so that's bullish. Line number two is the line connecting lows. We are still above this line. And then line number three is the line from the previous breakout. Either this line, draw it this way, or you can draw it slightly different, and I hope I'm not confusing you, but you can also draw it, the same line can be drawn this way, and then a straight line from there. All in all, we haven't broken any of these lines. So I think even though, yes, the dollar has given us a pullback, we are still holding above that range, the breakout range. And so I still remain bullish as far as the dollar is concerned. And another way to look at this is simple interpretation of the chart is ever since this breakout, ever since it moved above that blue line, it has had and stayed at higher levels. So yes, I do show from your charts that they look like it could be a pullback, but I'm not sure that it is being confirmed by a major sell signal right now. I would lean towards going and taking a look at the smaller time frames to see what the dollar is doing. And I did discuss this in a recent video, actually today. And here we can see the weekly chart is coming back to test topside support line. So connecting RSI lows here, here, and here, and here, we are coming back to test that line. So I think around here could be an area where the dollar could move higher. And also if you take a look at the other consideration, which is the previous breakout line here, this breakout line in the RSI began this move. So what I can say is, once we've taken a look at the monthly charts, personally I think that the dollar is not breaking down, and then we can go and find what the smaller time frames are doing. And you can see here on the smaller time frame, we can see support on this green line. Ever since this perfect entry, on hindsight, this market has been coming back and testing these lows, and again here. And so if we have a bounce off this line in the coming week and weeks, then that could be a perfect entry around here. Now of course, if we get a break of those two lines, so if we get a break of this line and a break of the previous support line, if we break through those lines, then that is when the monthly chart could be suggesting that it is now giving us a sell signal based on your negative divergence on the monthly analysis. All right, hope that makes sense. If we go to the daily, we also see that we've come back to a crucial support point. This was a nice entry of the lows here for us move higher. In fact, we haven't closed below this level since then, and so we can draw a line there, our uniformity line, and you can see that the market seems to respond very well by finding lows Once it hits this line with uniform action, same thing here, uniform action for the lows there. We are a double bottom, uniform action here for the lows there, and now we are coming back and holding on that green line. If the market can continue holding above that green line, then we can short term see a reason why the dollar could actually bounce instead of going lower. Now of course, just like we did show on the weekly chart, if we break through the green line, then that's when we might start turning a little bit negative. I think here conclusion is the dollar is either sideways or potentially looking to start recovering around here. So that's my analysis based on your charts. Otherwise, tell me what you think. Eric Muathe, Muathe.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. ESCS.